In this week's video, we're going to be setting up 3 CAN interfaces. Link CAN Lambda, Link CAN Keypad, and their gauge. I cannot wait. Make sure you tag along. We also finish all the wiring. So 99.9% is done in this week's video. We fix our TPS, we fix a bunch of sensor rubbish, and also we fix the ignition issue we were facing. So make sure you stick along where we finish pretty much 99% of the harness. Where we left off last time was we just finished wiring the majority of the sensors. The only 2 sensors that are remaining are the fuel pressure sensor and the Lambda sensor, besides the flex fuel one. So we've got a couple left. Everything's working as expected, which is awesome. Now I do need to make a bracket to fit our new TPS on to this part of the throttle body. But yeah, let's get cracking on this fuel system. I've got so much crap from different joints about getting this fuel system to work with the 944. We'll have a crack, we'll lift the car up and yeah, see if everything fits. Yeah, we're running a 044 fuel pump, style fuel pump by Aeroflow. Nothing fancy about it. I've got a fitting that's going to sit like that just to keep the hose from kinking too much, which I'll show you shortly. But I'm going to put this bad boy in and see if it fits up. Alright, all done. It's pretty hard to see because of the airlines, but yeah, fuel pump, 180 degree to 1/2 inch barb, and then we've got E85 push lock hose. Might just need a cable tied up there just to stop the kinking. Now what we need to do is find out where we're going to put our new fuel filter. So obviously we needed to upgrade every part of the fuel system besides the fuel lines, granted that 1/2 inch line. Reason being E85 corrosive, right? So we got a new fuel filter here. It's 40 micron, which is pretty perfect for our setup. What we're going to need to do now is figure out a good location for it. I think we're going to put it where the factory one was, but most likely we're going to need to run some new different lines and customize that a bit. So we got new fuel filter, like I just said, 40 micron. We've got some new fittings on the end, so they're -6 outlet and inlet. We'll have to make some new lines, but we'll do a step-by-step process on making these braided lines. A lot of people think they're hard, but in reality they're not. You do need a little bit of tooling, that being just some, I think it's soft draw clamps, and that's it. Alright, so this is one of my old hoses we're going to reuse. So I'm going to cut it about in the middle. I've put tape on there to stop the stainless from fraying, and I'm just going to use some standard tube cutters. We'll cut that one in half and then chuck it in the vise. Alrighty, so what we want to do is you want to remove the end cap or the cap or whatever you want to call it, right? And we've got to thread this over the hose. Now, make sure you've cut it well, otherwise you're going to have fraying on the end like mine. But yeah, you want to slide this over and push it as much into the thread as you can. So the best way to do that is just to get some soft drawers and mount it up, make sure it's nice and tight, like so. You can use some WD-40 as well just to lube it up. And then you want to push it in. Twisting it also helps, but just be careful from the fraying as well. See, it's not home all the way, so what you can do also is push it onto something solid. Alright, it's home all the way, so you'll see it all the way at the end of the thread. Next part, lube this up with some more WD. Mount it into your vise with your soft clamps. Pop it on and twist and push. It's vital you twist and push. So I've just made a small marking just there, because when you start to twist it, sometimes they push out. So it's important when you do tighten it, you're tightening and pushing down. So you're tightening and pushing down. And just keep checking that mark as well. Alrighty. It's as simple as that. So that's how you make your own braided hose line. Really, really easy, a lot easier than people think. But if you take your time, use the right tools, really you only need this and some soft drawers. something like that, just to mount the AN line into, you're sorted. You can make your own braided hose line. Really hard to see, but it's all plumbed up. We just got to get the line from there to here now. I know it looks a bit crazy with all the air lines, but it's all plumbed up now. It's sitting up in there, out of the way. Obviously the fuel line's done. The only fuel line that we haven't done is the pump to the filter. Now we just need to wire up the flex fuel sensor. So now we just need to run the wiring for the flex fuel sensor. I believe on the plug we have power, ground, and a sensor wire, which is the plug just here. Okay, I skipped the boring stuff. I ran power, sensor, and ground to the ethanol sensor, did the plug. It is just sitting in there now. You can see all the cables just there. Now we're going to test it. Alrighty, I think it's working. I mean, we set it up. It's plugged in. I don't know what else we can do to test it besides put fuel through it, but we're not doing that yet because I don't have the right connectors, AN line connectors. Okay, so Lambda sensor's up next. I'm not going to do it today. We're going to do it later in the week. I've got to go now. So yeah, got heaps done. Most of the fuel lines are done now. So we'll probably see you tomorrow, maybe the next day. Okay, so a couple of days later, some more parts arrived. I have my new fuel pressure reg. This is it here. We're running a Turbo Smart one. I'm gonna see if it fits just here. There's already a riv nut here, so if we can just place it in there, that means no more drilling, no more extra drilling. That one was just a C-clamp for the old harness, but we won't need that now. Bang, looks really good there. Wanted to get the black so it matches with everything. We also need to take out this air valve here because we no longer need it. Time to put the intake manifold back on. I've put a fitting for the MAP sensor on there, so I just want to get it on just to get the throttle body on. We've obviously deleted what we need to. There's no more air valve there. Once that's on, we're going to have to run another sensor wire for this fuel pressure sensor because I've completely forgotten. So you need a ground, a signal, and 5-volt power. Intake manifold on. Here's the throttle body. I ended up making a bracket to fit this TPS sensor on. Pretty simple, just added like 4mm thick aluminium, no modification necessary. The reason being is obviously this TPS didn't line up with the factory positioning. Now, I have been told there is a factory Bosch part number that fits in that doesn't require like a plate like this. I'll put the part number in now, but yeah, this is what I've got and this is what I ended up using. So I'll chuck this on and let's see if we can get a throttle position reading. Throttle body on, TPS sensor plugged in. Let's see if we can get a reading on the Link. ECU controls, TPS setup, depress throttle to fully open position. Jump on the gas, where are you? There we go. All right, full throttle open. Okay, release throttle to closed position, okay, bang. So I think we've got voltage, which is just there. So technically, if I jump on the throttle right now, it should open. Sick. All right, it's working. Have a look at that. I've set it up, so we're on idle now. Let's get on the throttle and see if we can get to 100%. Hell yeah, how cool is that? Working TPS in the 944. Super, super cool. I've been putting off putting this Lambda sensor bung in for ages. I don't know why, I just can't be bothered taking the exhaust off. I think best to chuck it just there behind the starter. Still ease of access and there's plenty of room at the top. Bung all welded up. Now we're just gonna have to wait for it to cool and then chuck it back in and plumb it all up. Lambda sensor in, cable's pretty long, so we're gonna have to clean that up. And I've also mounted the little module just there out of the way. Just need to connect it via the CAN bus, and that means it's all sorted. Now I'm just trying to figure out at the moment how we're gonna connect the ECU to the coil. I'm 90% sure I've got it wrong, but I'm just speaking to the boys down at Link just to sort it out. The wire thickness, I'm just not happy with the difference between the coil and the ECU side. I'm just not happy with it. So we're trying to figure out what's going on there, because clearly I think I've done something wrong.
2 days later.
Okay, a couple days have passed now, and I've done a fair bit of research on some main issues that we're having. Now, the first one was the Link ECU to the coil. Now, in the previous video, you would have seen I did make a big mistake by connecting the output of the ECU directly to the coil. That is a big no-no, and it's not going to work. So with a fair bit of research, I figured out that the 944 DME does control the coil by just grounding it. That's all it does. It doesn't control it, it doesn't cut it for limiter, it just grounds it. So it's very, very basic. We're going to absolutely transform that by using something called a single channel igniter. Basically, it's a relay specifically designed for what we need. Now, this one here is a 2-channel igniter, but we're only going to use one. I wanted to get the Bosch one because it's a lot better quality than some of the unbranded ones. Therefore, we can theoretically cut the ignition for a limiter, for example, instead of cutting the fuel, which again is not a good idea, which is what the original DME did. So I managed to sort that out, which means we can finish the harness now. What we need to do is cut that plug off and start from scratch. Now, the plug I'm talking about was that 9-pin plug from the previous video. So right here, so we now know what we're gonna do. So it actually feels like finally we're getting somewhere, which is really cool. So the next step now, what we're gonna do is we're definitely gonna cut that plug off, start again, find a place to mount this awesome igniter with the heatsink, because you need a heatsink because apparently it generates some heat. But yeah, we'll find a spot where to put it. And then we'll go from there. So this is the igniter I was talking about. Now there's a lot of pins. 2 of them aren't used because they use the same frame for a 4-channel igniter. So we're only going to end up using about 4 of the 7 outputs. This is the heatsink for it. So obviously it mounts up nicely in there. We've got to find a spot to mount this heatsink out of the way and somewhere where it looks nice. You do not want to mount it on the engine. Big no-no, right? Got to keep it away from vibration and heat as much as possible. Now, the 944 has a factory ground segment, so I think I'm just going to chuck it here and mount it somewhere like that there. Kind of looks good, and it's out of the way and hides some of the rubbish underneath. Alright, so riv nutted. I'm also going to put some gold tape on the top of this. Now, it's probably unnecessary, but I think I just want to put it on just to be safe, just in case it does make a bit of heat. I don't want it melting the paint, I'd rather it just getting absorbed from the gold tape. Simple and clean, right? Absolutely perfect, out of the way. I can't hide it fully, right? We need to have this aired because it does produce some heat. So as you just saw, we put 2 Deutsch plugs in. We've got a high amp Deutsch plug and just your standard one on the left. The one on the left controls the ignition firing, and also we've got the fuel pump relay. The one on the right, we've just got general power and obviously for the injectors. So now that that's done, it's time to finish up pinning this plug and see how it turns out. Okay, we're all plugged up. Don't worry about these wires, we need to trim them back and hide them. But yeah, all done. This is all pinned. So what I'm going to do is just turn the car on, just double check that the fuel pump's working, because we have put a Deutsch plug on there, just to double check everything, and I like playing with the software. So yeah, we'll go do that now. Alright, all locked and loaded. There's a fair few errors because I've got stuff unplugged at the moment, but what we need to check is the fuel pump. Prime time's off, we're just going to test it quickly and then turn it off. Yep, done. you obviously heard that, so that's working, which is good news. Okay, now that we've tested it, I'm just gonna clean up all the wires behind here so we can run the ground for the igniter, ground for the Lambda sensor, and ground for the ECU. So that's the next couple things we'll do. And then we can plug in the Lambda sensor and test that. I spent like half an hour trying to figure out why the CAN wasn't working. Like, why couldn't I connect to it? Why wasn't showing up? Turns out I had the pin on the wrong way on the Deutsch plug. Now, the green wire relative on the Lambda sensor is the CAN low, which is the orange and yellow, vice versa. I don't know why it's like that, but yeah, I figured it out by just flipping the pins over and now it's working. So, set it up here, ECU controls, CAN setup. User stream 1 Hertz. The ID for the CAN is 950, and just to test it, CAN devices, find device. There we go, CAN Lambda. Happy days. So that is the second last sensor, as I said, tested, right? We just got that intake air temp sensor to go, and then we're sorted. We can start making the Loom look nice. All right, here is the CAN keypad. So we're gonna chuck it here. Just make some holes basically and bolt it up. We're gonna have some map switching, launch control, and just a standard link button, which I reckon will have like a cool idle button or something like that. All mounted up now, so time just to connect it to the ECU. Alright, I just finished up making the wires longer and connecting the CAN keypad. Let's test it. Done. So we've got the keypad here, and it did light up before when I turned the ignition on and off, so you can see it's working. Nice and fancy. Alright, I was wrong about the CAN ID. Transmit rate 50 Hertz, so you need to go 384 plus the keypad node ID. The default's 21, 384 plus 21, which is 405, and then we should be able to get that to work. Alright, got it working. So we've made it violet. It's working now. It's making a noise though when it's on. It's a bit weird. But yeah, that's on like 1. I'll probably keep it there. It looks better. So to do so, after the setup, bang, configure device, and then you can change the backlight color there. One more CAN interface to go, probably the most exciting one, which is the CAN gauge. We can see literally everything on one gauge from the ECU. So pretty much all the hard wiring's done. I just got to make a plug and put it on. Here is our gauge cluster. We've got oil pressure, water temp, and volts. We're going to be keeping water temp and the volts and getting rid of the oil pressure. But we're going to have to move this one to here, so we've got the CAN gauge in the middle. All right, all fitted up. It sticks out a little bit, but I actually kind of like it because it's sort of more facing towards you. Now, this is the harness. The orange cable here is the illumination, so we can just piggyback this one from one of the old gauges. All plugged in. It's working. So now it's time to configure it in the PC Link software. In the box, it gives you some settings on how to set everything up. So for the CAN ID, we're going to be running 56. Transmit rate, 20 Hertz. Format normal. Apply. OK. And save. One thing I didn't add, make sure you click transmit generic dash in there. A little error, I didn't actually set the channel. So make sure you set the channel for your CAN setup. And then to configure this, we need to download the app. So we can muck around with it, but just to make sure it's all working, I think the factory or the standard one you can click through. Yeah, Coolant, that's working. We can check if the TPS is working as well. I'll just jump on the gas, and then if that's working, I think we're good to go. Yeah, so I'm on the throttle now. That's awesome. So it's actually working. How cool is that? So we've got a CAN gauge, we've got CAN Lambda, and also the CAN 4-button keypad. And it's all working using the CAN interface. Absolutely insane. We managed to get so much done in this week's video. We finished pretty much all the wiring and enabled all our CAN interfaces, which is crazy. It's so exciting. Cannot wait until we start cleaning the harness up as well, because that's going to be very important. If you made it this far, thank you so much for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, make sure you click the button. It just means I can keep doing this for longer. Thanks for watching. Thank you so much to Link as well. You guys are the best. I can't wait to get this car going. In the next video, what we're going to be doing is cleaning the harness up, which is much needed.